7:55 అయింది వచ్చేసరికి.
ఓకే. యా. ఇన్ కేస్ నేను మధ్యలో మ్యూట్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతాను. యాక్చువల్లీ ఆఫీస్ వర్క్ కూడా ఉంది, ఆఫీస్ మీటింగ్లో కూడా ఉన్నాను.
ఓకే.
Yeah. Yesterday or day before yesterday, we saw how to configure ASM on 11G. So for configuring ASM on 11G, we install grid infrastructure, right? As I said,
Yeah.
ASM will be part of grid infrastructure. So we need to install the grid infrastructure software. So on 11G, in order to have the ASM, we need to have RDBMS binaries to create the database. And we need to have grid infrastructure to configure ASM. But in 11G, and also we saw on 11G, we'll have high availability service which comes with grid infrastructure, and high availability service indeed or internally it will bring up CSSD, which is required to synchronize the disks which are used for the ASM, and then it will bring up the ASM instance. In order to bring up the ASM instance, first it will bring up the disk groups and listener also. And as already told you, the listener will be started from grid infrastructure home, and after that it will bring up the ASM. So this will be the order in which the cluster services starts. First high availability service will start, then the CSSD, and after that disk groups, listener and ASM. After that it will start the database, and you don't need to manually start the databases, automatically cluster will bring it up. So this is one of the advantage of 11G grid infrastructure. So every time we reboot the server, automatically the database comes up because it is configured with high availability services. And if you have ASM on the server, how to bring them down, how to bring it up. So first thing, if you have ASM, whether you need to bring up the database first or whether you need to bring up the ASM first. In which order we need to?
ASM first.
Yeah, because ASM is required for the database to start up.
Yeah.
If the ASM is not present, we'll not have the database because the data files will be present in ASM disks.
Yes.
So first we have to bring up the ASM and then the database. In a similar way, while bringing down, we have to bring down the database first and then the ASM.
Okay.
And we also saw using CRS underscore stop hyphen all, it will automatically bring down everything. So first you will bring down the database, then in ASM instance, then the disk groups, listener and CSSD service. In order to stop the HAS, we'll be using the command crSctl stop HAS. And in order to bring up the ASM manually, just ASM alone, srvctl start ASM will bring up the ASM. But before starting the ASM, we have to start the disk groups. srvctl start disk group -g and then the disk group name. So these are the things which you need to know about the 11G part. Okay, HAS will be there, CSSD will be there, and everything will be automatically started, and automatically it will bring down whenever you're rebooting the server. Next, coming to 10G, ASM comes with RDBMS software. So this is one of the main advantage of 11G, or you can compare whenever if someone asks you what is the difference between 10G and 11G, you can say in 11G grid infrastructure was introduced and ASM is part of it, but in 10G ASM is part of RDBMS software. So in order to configure ASM also, we need to have RDBMS software. By using RDBMS software, we can configure ASM as well as databases. So in 10G, using DBCA, we can configure ASM as well as databases. Okay, so now I'll show you how to configure ASM on 10G. So for that, I added 3 disks to be used for the disk groups. So 2 disks I'll be using for data files, and 1 disk I'll be using for redo log files and control files. So I formatted the disk and I formatted the disk and I stamped with Oracle ASM libraries. So we are good to go. So first thing what we have to do is like we have to install the RDBMS software. In 11G we have to install Green Infrastructure software. In 10G we have to install RDBMS software. So I'll upload this software. It will not be available in the Oracle site also. So you can download it and you can try and install it. So for now, I have it here. Okay, choose your Oracle. CD. Okay, I have it on this folder 10g-linux. /run install. Last class నేను అప్లోడ్ చేశానా?
చేయలేదండి.
ఓకే, నాకు గుర్తు. Okay, and my Oracle home will be, one second.
Windsor, 271 users. Did you say 171? No, it's right now it's 278. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so this is my Oracle home. Okay, yeah, see here, if you want to make ASM and RDBMS as a separate homes, you can also do that. Even though the software is same, we can have two homes for ASM, one home for, we can have two homes in which one home we can use it for ASM and another home we can use it for RDBMS software. Are you getting it? Software okate, but we can have it in two homes, such that we will have an independent home for ASM and we'll have an independent home for database. The reason for that is why we need to have a separate home for ASM and for RDBMS software, because each and every time we need to upgrade the software, we need to bring them down. Okay, so say for example ASM and RDBMS software, we use the same home. That means only we'll install one software, which is RDBMS, and using that software we'll configure ASM as well as database. In this case, if you are upgrading the software or if you are applying any patches, you need to bring down both the database and ASM, both.
Okay.
But if you have a separate home for ASM and RDBMS software, only we'll bring down the RDBMS software. Only we'll bring down the database, but not the ASM. So what is the advantage of this is like most of the if you have two databases or three databases, in some companies they'll follow like for each and every database they will have separate homes. So as a result, if you have ASM and RDBMS on the same home, and if you have to patch it up, you need to bring down the database and ASM. But if you have it in different homes, only one database will bring it down, such that another databases will use the existing ASM.
Yeah.
And one more thing is, if you have 10 databases on the server, we'll have only one ASM instance. You'll not have multiple ASM instance. Okay, on a server we'll have only one ASM instance, not more than one ASM instance. ఇది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, only one ASM instance will serve all the databases. Like the way only one OS is serving all the databases, even in ASM only one ASM will serve all the databases. So we can have it in separate home or we can have it in the same home. Right now I'm using the same home. If you want to try it up, you can try and install in separate homes. But you need to make sure the listener should be running from ASM home, similar to the 11G. In 11G, a listener will be starting from Grid Infrastructure home. In 10G, if you have separate home for ASM and RDBMS, listener should run from ASM home. Okay?
Hey, Windsor.
ఏమన్నా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ?
Are you there? Yeah, Rafik.
లేదండి.
300 users is your memory now? Looks okay at the moment. It's at, let's see,
So this will be my home
refresh this.
and enterprise edition. Yeah, 10G you'll have like this. I mean, like there is some difference between the graphical interface for 10G and 11G. So this will be the options which you will have: the basic installation, advanced configuration. So advanced installation will show you several other features, and you can configure everything using advanced installation. So we'll go for advanced installation. We'll not go for basic, we'll go for advanced, and we'll click on next.
0.6. That's still not that bad. I don't think Atlas is gonna do much.
And we have to select the enterprise edition here.
Yeah,
Like the way we have enterprise edition, standard edition in 11G, we'll also have the same in 10G. So I'll go for enterprise edition and click on next. And here I have to change the Oracle Home. Next. And like the way you have autofix scripts in 11G, you'll not have it in 10G. This is another disadvantage. Coming to run installer, in 11G we'll have autofix scripts. ఏమైనా prerequisites meet అవ్వకపోతే మనం జస్ట్ ఆ బటన్ క్లిక్ చేసి ఒక స్క్రిప్ట్ వస్తుంది, ఆ స్క్రిప్ట్ రన్ చేస్తాం కదా. You'll not have that in 10G. You'll not have that in 10G. That is another difference between 10G and 11G. Okay, we can note it down actually if you want. Okay, network configuration, that is okay. Just click on this one and go ahead. If you have to change any of the parameters, you need to go ahead and change them. So there are three main files which you have to configure. One is /etc/sysctl.conf. This is a file which will have all the kernel parameters, and each and every version will have some specific values for these parameters. So you need to go through Oracle documentation. You have to check what are the values needs to be set and according to the resources. So if you have the RAM as 64 GB, then it will show you this much of percentage of value should be assigned to each and every parameter. So depending upon the documentation, you have to set all these parameters. Okay, already set them up. So if you want really, you have to go for like this one. So all these parameters needs to be changed. It will be present in Oracle documentation. So before installing, you have to go through Oracle documentation for prerequisites. This is one of the file /etc/sysctl.conf. In this file there will be kernel parameters, and those kernel parameters needs to be set. So usually this part will be taken care by system admin, but once they give the box to you, once they give the server to you, before starting the installation, you need to make sure everything is properly configured. If they are not properly configured, you have to give back the box to system admin. They'll reconfigure it again. So you need to coordinate with system admin in order to change all these parameters, because in the real time you'll not have access to root user. This can be done only as root user.
Okay.
So remember, /etc/sysctl.conf is a file which will have kernel parameters. And then there is another file called as /etc/security/ okay, let me go ahead with cd. Yeah, so there is another file called as limits.conf. In this file you can specify what can be, I mean like a user, Oracle user, how many files he can open at a time, how many processes he can invoke at a time. So all these parameters will be present in /etc/security limits.conf. And these files varies from one Linux flavor to another Linux flavor. In the real time you'll have either Enterprise Linux or IBM AX or HP. So depending upon the operating system, these files will vary. So for each and every operating system you'll have document. You have to go through that document. For Linux, this is the file etc/security limits.conf. Limits.conf is a file which will specify how many process a user can invoke and how many files he can open. So if you see here, number of process he can open is 2047 and number of files he can open is 1024. So there'll be a soft limit and hard limit for each and every parameters. So you also need to set these values. For example, if you set nproc to 0, he cannot invoke any process. As a result, you cannot install the Oracle software itself.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the two files and one other, yeah, cd/etc/pam.d. There is one more file which you have to configure. etc/pam.dlo. There will be a file called as login. So in login you have to add one entry. So even in Oracle documentation you can find this one. You have to add this entry, and we don't know what it actually does, but Oracle recommends to add this entry into this file. So this file name, under etc/pam.d, you will have a file called as login. Under login you have to add this entry. So all this needs to be done before installing the Oracle software. Otherwise, in the prerequisites, all these parameters will be failed. In 11G, we have an option to just auto fix and we can go ahead. But in 11G and 10G, we don't have it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here you'll have the options to create a database, to configure ASM, and to install database software only. So you can choose any of them. I'll go for install database software only. This will install RDBMS software, as you know, and then using that software I'll configure ASM and then I'll configure the database. So I'll be choosing install database software only and I'll click on next. So whenever if someone asks you what is the process in which you'll install the software, you need to check. First I'll be checking the prerequisites. So I'll be checking whether the kernel parameters are set properly, and after that I'll be checking whether all the file limitation and process limitations are set properly or not. And after that you need to make sure you have the swap space as double the RAM. I already told you in the beginning of the class, if you have 2 GB of RAM, the swap space should be twice 4 GB. And after that you need to make sure the Ethernet card is also configured properly such that the users can connect to the database from external servers. And after that you have to make sure whether you have sufficient mount point space to install the Oracle software. And after that you also need to make sure what are the disks which we'll be using to configure for the ASM, and which disk, like for example, if you're creating a database for storing 100 terabytes of information or 30 terabytes for information, you need to decide like what should be the LUN size. So usually we'll go for 254 GB LUN size. LUN is nothing but one disk in an array. So usually in the real time you'll have array of disks. So each and every disk is called as a LUN, and that LUN will be adding as as a part of a disk group. So if you are creating a disk group for data files, usually we'll be creating a disk of 250 GB depending upon the database size. If the database is bigger, around terabytes, then we'll go for 256 GB disks. If the database size is small, then we'll go for 64 GB disks. And this disk will be manufactured by EMC storage. So if someone asks you what kind of storage you worked on, you have to say you worked on EMC storage.
EMC storage.
Yeah. And after that I'll go ahead and install the Oracle software, and then we'll configure the listener, and then I'll be sending the TNS entries to the users such that they can connect to the database. So these are you have to mention. Okay. So first, specifying the prerequisites is must. You cannot directly say that I'll be downloading the software and I'll be invoking that installer and they'll go ahead and continue. First we have to check whether all the prerequisites are met or not. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just we'll click on install now.
జనరల్ గా డేటాబేస్ సైజ్ ఎంత ఉంటుందంటే ఏం చెప్పొచ్చు అంటే కరెంట్ మీరు వర్క్ చేస్తున్న డేటాబేస్ సైజ్ ఎంత అని అడిగారు అనుకోండి.
Yeah, 9 terabytes and 10 terabytes అని చెప్పండి. So the biggest database you worked on is around 10 terabyte అని చెప్పండి. And what is the SGA size అంటే the server is configured with 64 GB RAM and the SGA, I mean like there is only one database on that server and the SGA is around 40 GB అని చెప్పండి.
SG 40 GB.
40 GB, yeah. 64 GB total RAM available. And ఏ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్స్ వర్క్ చేశారంటే you have to go for IBM AX 6.1, 7.1, then RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 4, 5 and 6. Those are the version numbers.
Okay.
And then you can say I also worked on HP and Sun Solaris. If they ask you the versions, just say 9 and 10.
Okay. 9 and 10 అండి.
Yeah.
ప్లస్ అంటే ర్యాక్ ఎప్పుడు వచ్చిందండి మనకి, అంటే ర్యాక్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ అవన్నీ ఎప్పుడు వచ్చింటాయి
అర్థం.
అంటే ర్యాక్ మీద ఎప్పటి నుంచి వర్క్ చేశారు, ఎంత ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉందని అర్థం.
ఓ యా 3-4 years అని చెప్పండి. బికాస్ 11G కూడా మీరు 4 years అని చెప్పొచ్చు, నో ప్రాబ్లం.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I see sometimes where it's gone to 570, but let's see, our predetermined threshold was 779. Oh, I see a 616 here. But we're still got something to go.
If it goes too high, let me know. I'll stop the test.
ఆశీష్ నోట్ చేసుకుంటున్నావు కదా, ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్. అంటే వెండర్ కనుక క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగితే ఇట్లా చెప్పాలి ఇవన్నీ.
ఫస్ట్ గోల్డెన్ గేట్ పెట్టాం కదా, అది ఎప్పటి నుంచి ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారండి?
గోల్డెన్ గేట్ యాక్చువల్గా ఒక 1-2 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అని చెప్పండి, అంతకంటే.
నేను ఎప్పుడు 6 years బ్యాక్ చేశానని చెప్పి.
లేదండి, యాక్చువల్గా గోల్డెన్ గేట్ ఆర్కిల్ కొనింది 3-4 years అయింది అంతే.
3-4 years. అదే నేను ఇవాళ యాక్చువల్గా వాళ్ళు కొంచెం ఆఫీస్ లో ఓపెన్ చేస్తాను అన్నమాట, గోల్డెన్ గేట్ వీడియోస్ ఉన్నాయి.
ఓకే ఓకే
చూద్దాం అనుకున్నాను, కాస్టింగ్ వర్కౌట్ కాలేదు.
ఓకే ఓకే ఆశీష్, నీకు ఎప్పుడైనా ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే నాకు కాల్ చేయి. నువ్వు భయపడుతున్నావో నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు నాకు అర్థం కావట్లేదు. అండ్ ఇంకొకటి, సన్మచ్కి నాకేం సంబంధం లేదు. సో నీకేం డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా నాకు కాల్ చేయం కాదు సన్మచ్ మీద. అండ్ నేను కూడా మాస్టర్స్ చేసి వచ్చిన, జస్ట్ 2 years అని జాబ్ చేస్తూ. ఓకే, జస్ట్ 2 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉంది నాకు అంతే. యా, జస్ట్ 2 years అంతే.
ఫస్ట్ H1 అండి మీకు ఇప్పుడు మొన్న వచ్చింది?
ఇంకా H1 స్టార్ట్ అవుతుందండి, అక్టోబర్ నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది.
ఓకే ఓకే.
సో నాకు కూడా తెలుసు మాస్టర్ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఎట్లా ఆలోచిస్తారు అన్నది. సో నీకేం డౌట్స్ ఉంటే నాకు కాల్ చేయి. సో వన్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ ఇన్స్టాలింగ్ ద సాఫ్ట్వేర్, we have to run this script. As you already know, we should run it as root user. but don't think that you'll get this much of experience in 2 years. The way, I mean, like the environment which I worked, the database is of 100 terabytes. It's one of the world's biggest database. So I got like a lot of options and a lot of, I mean, like there are more chances for me to explore all the techniques and all the things.
ఓకే యా బట్ నాకు ట్రైనింగ్ మాత్రం 2 years చెప్తున్నట్టు ఐ మీన్ 2 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ నాకు చెప్పినట్టు లేదనమాట.
యా అందుకే అంటున్నా, నాకు అంతే ఎక్స్పోజర్ వచ్చింది అందుకే అంటున్నా. అంతెందుకంటే నేను ఒక 70 to 80 ప్రాక్సీ కాల్స్ క్రాక్ చేసి ఉంటా.
You can't see it as the test is running, right?
No, I can. But the thing is,
నాలెడ్జీ బాగుందండి, నాలెడ్జీ
అది వచ్చేస్తుంది అంటే మీకు యాంగ్జైటీ అంటే మీకు చదవాలి అన్న తప్ప ఉంటే ఆటోమేటిక్ వచ్చేస్తుంది అందుకు రాదు. ఓకే, లెట్ మీ రన్ ది స్క్రిప్ట్.
Do we still have decent response times at the moment?
yes.
మా ఫ్రెండ్ ఇంకో అతను వస్తున్నాడండి యాక్చువల్గా, మరి మీకు చెప్పారా లేదా?
అవునా, ఓకే ఓకే.
అంటే తను ఆల్రెడీ సింగపూర్ లో ఉన్నాడు ఇప్పుడు.
ఓకే ఓకే, the script is executed. It will create the, so what does root.sh will do? It will create the it is your data file and it will be used to add the entries whenever we create the database and ASM. Next, click on OK. This will also, they will ask, I mean, like what are the two scripts which will be given by uninstaller and what they will do. One is root.sh. What it does is like it will create it is your data file and also it will add some entries into user local bin such that whenever you do dot space or inv and you set the environment, all those will be taken care by this script actually internally. So this will add some entries into user local bin and after that it will create a file, it is your data, and the other file is ora-inst.sh, root-inst.sh. That file will actually change the permissions of ora inventory. So these are the two scripts. One is root.sh and another is root-inst.sh. One will change the ownership of the inventory, other will create Aura tab and it will add some entries into local bin. Just click on exit now. We install the RDBMS software, so just click on S. The RDBMS software is installed. Using that software you can either configure ASM or you can configure DBA database. Now I'll be configuring ASM by invoking DBCA. So first I have to set the environment. So let me set the environment. Oh, sorry. I again invoke the uninstaller. So let me exit from here. Close. It should be DBCA. So in 10G, the DBCA will have option to configure ASM as well as to create the databases. So just click on next and we'll have an option to create a database and also to configure automatic storage management. So I'll be checking configure automatic storage management and click on next. Yeah, here it will be asking you the sys password, and the other difference from 10G to 11G is in 11G we have sysASM. This is the super privileged user, but in 10G just we have sysuser. We don't have any sysASM. So in 11G they actually differentiated the responsibilities of sysuser from ASM. Sysuser will be taken, I mean, like it will be related only for the database, and sysASM will be related for the ASM instance. In 10G we don't have any sysASM user. We only have sysuser. So every time you want to configure the disk group, or if you want to add disk, or if you want to drop the disk, you will be logging in as sys, not as sysASM in 10G. And specify the sys password. I'll just make it as Oracle and Oracle. And even in 10G, you'll have the three parameters which are specified: ASM disk groups, ASM disk string, and ASM power limit. Power limit is a limit or is a power at which the rebalance will happen. ASM disk string will determine in which location the disks are present, and ASM underscore disk groups will show you what are the disk groups which are configured with the ASM. So we'll have only three parameters. Even this is an interview question. What are the parameters associated with ASM and what are those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Click on OK.
Is Vijay in the call?
Yeah, looks like.
$482.
We still got room.
Okay. Something it said unable to connect to the cluster manager. Click on OK. Okay, it is unable to connect to the cluster manager. Yeah. So in Oracle, you also need to do one more thing. So there will be a file called as local config under Oracle underscore home.
490.
You need to log in as root and you have to go to that folder. Under bin, you'll have a file called as local config. This is the file, okay? So you have to do local config add. This will actually create the CRS service which is required. Okay. /local config add. This is required for ASM to connect to the cluster manager. So this will create the CSS. You already know CSS is used to synchronize the disk which will be used for ASM. So in order to configure the CSS, you have to do this command. You have to invoke this command, which is not required in the 11G.
Okay, Windsor, we are running under peak load right now, so please monitor your memory.
One seven.
Trade assistance.
This will take like 2 to 3 minutes. So
Okay.
Yeah, we're actually doing really good on memory. We're at around 400 out of, what is it? 973.
ఆశీష్ మీకు మార్కెటింగ్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తున్నారా?
That number is better than last night.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. So once you configure the ASM, background process will be started, and you have to set the environment to ASM, and then you'll connect to ASM as well as ASM assembly. So like the way you have flash, we'll have place here, and then CD data. Now you can see I don't have anything in here, and also if I do plus redo, I'll not have anything under redo too. So to exit, we'll use exit. Now I'll show you how to create a database on ASM. So we have to invoke DBCA here. In 11G, we have to set the environment to 11G RDBMS home, and then we have to invoke DBCA. In 10G, as we are using the same home, the DBCA will be same. Okay? And also, in order to configure the ASM on 11G, what we'll be using? ASMCA. Here we'll be using DBCA. That is another difference between 10G and 11G.
Okay.
And click on next. Create a database. Click on next. General purpose. Click on next. DB name, I'll give it as demo. Next. Just uncheck this one, and you already know, right? Enterprise Manager will be used to graphically manage the databases. If you want, you can check it right now, or you can configure it like some other time. Just click on next.
Okay.
Specify the password Oracle. Here you'll have the option. Either you have to go for file system, automatic storage management, or raw devices. So you have to check ASM in order to create the database on ASM storage. So while you're creating the databases, you'll have three options. Either you can create the database on file system, or on ASM, or on raw devices. These raw devices you cannot create for standalone database. We can create it for the rack databases. So I'll be selecting ASM and click on next. I'll be using these two disk groups, so I'll be checking this both, and then highlight this one and click on next. Here, the database area, that means to store the data files, I'll be using place data, and then I'll be multiplexing the read log files and control files with plus data and plus redo. So one set of read log file and control files will be in plus data, and another set of read log files and control files will be in plus redo. These are will multiplex the read log files and control files with DBCA. Okay, just click on next. If you want to enable the flash recovery area, yes, and give it a slash backup. I don't have space here, so I'll be giving it a slash backup. I don't have any other disk group, so I'll be giving it a slash backup. And enable archiving, click on next. Check and sample schemas, click on next. And if you want to change the character set, you can change it here, and also the block size. Memory, click on next, and click on next. If you want to change the read log file size, by default the read log file size will be 50 MB. If you want to change it, you can click here and you can change the size. By default it will be 50 MB. If you want to go for a bigger read log file size, you can change it straight away here. Okay, and just click on next. Create a database, click on finish. This will create the database. So these are will create the database. Everything is same, just we have to select the automatic storage management.
Okay.
I'm at peak load right now. We're at 10, 11, under 15% CPU. Do you think it's possible to just fit in a 600 test? We could get it started.
I'm planning on it, so. If it goes a little beyond, we'll finish it up. If it's okay with you.
Yeah, I think as long as we even just start ramping down by midnight, that'd be probably okay with the
Yeah, that's possible because we're gonna get done by 10 o'clock for this test, and by that time, if we can start, by midnight we're gonna wrap it down.
And remember, we'll not have any CRS underscore stat hyphen T command. In 11J, we used to go for CRS underscore stat to display the services, right? To display all the resources which are registered in HAS. And we'll not have that in 10G. What we have to do is like we have to set the environment to ASM, and then you have to go to SQL plus /s DBA, and you need to trigger set immediate in order to bring down the ASM. And also you need to connect to SQL plus /s DBA. It will be old traditional way, and you have to issue startup. But in 11G it's different. You have to use srvctl commands. Even for the database startup, you have to go for srvctl. Don't use SQL plus /sdba and issue startup. You have to go for srvctl always. And once you have the ASM, all the concepts applies to the ASM also. Same way we'll create the table space and everything. But the only difference is whenever you want to create any data file or whenever you want to create any table space, here what we can do is like we can just specify the table space name, create table space, demo, data file plus data. That's it. You don't need to specify any data file name, okay? Plus data.
Okay.
And then size. Say for example 100 MB, and then auto extend if you want to go for auto extend on next 10M, max size 31G if you want to go for 31 GB, and then extend management. మీకు మళ్ళీ గుర్తుకొస్తుందని చేస్తున్నా అంతే.
Yeah.
Management local segment space management auto. Just will specify plus data. Automatically it will go for, it will create a system generated data file with a system generated name. And even though you specify plus data, actually it will go under, after plus data it will have a database name which is demo, and after that you will have a folder called as data files. Inside the data files folder it will create a data file.
Okay.
It will use OLMF feature, which is Oracle managed files. So Oracle internally it determines the file system structure in which the data file, where the data file should be present, where the redo log file should be present. So under the database name it will create a folder called as data files. It will also create a folder called as online log files. It will use the data files to store the data files and redo log files to store the online log files in the online log files. So it is using Oracle managed files. So always ASM will use Oracle managed files, OLMF. That is called as OLMF. ఆనే వండుకోపోయినా ఇంకా అదే ఉంది, నైట్ వరకు ఉంది ఈరోజు కూడా. ఆఫీస్ ఉంది నైట్ దాకా. నైట్ 12 దాకా నేను ఇంట్లోనే వర్క్ చేసిన కదా పొద్దున్న నుంచి రోజు. మొన్నటి నుంచి తిడుతున్నాను, నాకు కట్ చేయడానికి రాదు, కట్ చేయండి అని. Okay, the database is created, so it will give the summary here, the database name and where the okay. So we already know that the SPfile will be present in Oracle Home/DBS, correct or not? So whenever we configure the database with the ASM, SPfile will be stored in ASM. It will not stored in DBS. So how it will know? how it will know that the file is present in ASM, that I'll show you in a moment of time. So just click on exit here, and here under Oracle Home /DBS, it will create a file under Oracle Home /DBS. It will create a file called as init.demo.ora, which is a P file. Okay.
Okay.
In this P file, there will be only one entry. It says SPfile is equal to plus data slash demo slash SPfile demo.ora. So whenever we go for SQL plus slash SDBA and issue the startup command, what it does is, first it will look at, you already know, first it will look into Oracle Home DBS. So if SPfile is not present, it will go for P file, correct or not?
Yeah.
So it will look in this P file, it will get the location of the SP file, so it will go into the ASM, it will get the SP file, and it will start up the database. So whenever you have ASM configured for the database, remember SP file will be present in ASM location and a pointer will be created in P file.
Okay.
Select file underscore name. Okay. Table space underscore name, file underscore name from DBA data files. So this is how it looks like. Data files will be present in plus data, and if you go for read log files, location of the read log files, you can get it from read.log file. Size, you'll get it from read.log. So the read log files are present in plus data and redo. So it's multiplexed among plus data and redo because we selected the multiplex option there. And show parameter control underscore files. So even the control files are multiplexed with data and control. If you look at the file structure here, so for the data files, స్లో అయిపోతుంది ఒకసారి ASMS ఇంకా స్లో అవుతుంది సర్వర్. అది సిఆర్ఎస్ అన్నా కదా, అది చాలా తీసుకుంటుంది యూసేజ్. Okay, so if you look at the file structure, data files plus data, file database name, and then the data file folder. If you look at the read log files, plus data, database name, online log. And if you look at the control files, it will be plus data, database name, control file. And after that, whatever the file name, forget about it. It will be a system generated one. Group underscore 3, it is a third group. By looking at the file name, you can say it's a third group. But these numbers are actually, it says sequence number and something like that. So these numbers, depending upon the current database status, it will create the files.
Okay.
And if you want to create any table space, create table space, demo, data file, plus data. That's it, you don't need to specify anything. Oh, I haven't specified the size. Oh. Okay. A space size 50M.
డెమో కూడా డిఎంపి పడింది.
అది లైట్ అండి.
యా.
Okay. Select table space underscore name, file underscore name from db underscore data underscore files. Okay. So now I have dump table space, and even that is located in under data file. So I don't need to specify the whole location, and also I don't need to specify the file name. And now just show you again SQL plus /SDBA. Remember, most of the interview questions, they'll be asking you this one. What is the power limit? This will determine with what speed the rebalance will occur. So in a disk group, we'll have set of disks, correct or not? So minimum is 2 disks. At least 2 disks are required in order to leverage the ASM features, in order to leverage the striping feature of ASM. So in the real time, we'll have 50 or 100 disks in a disk group. Okay. And if you are dropping, if you are deleting one disk from the disk group, after some time you thought, okay, this disk group has a lot of free space, the disk is not required, so we can drop this disk such that it can be used for another server. So you have to drop the disk. So whenever you are dropping the disk, it will rebalance the data which is present in the existing disk groups such that it will empty the disk which is being dropped. Okay. So with what power it should rebalance? So it will take from 1 to 11. I'm repeating it again actually. So 1 being the lower and 11 being the higher. So if you go for 11, the rebalance will occur in a faster manner, but it will impact the database performance. So whenever you are performing any rebalance activity in the daytime or whenever the database load is on the higher side, you have to go for the lower power limit. And whenever you have lower load on the database, then you can go for higher power limit. And this will apply whenever you are adding a disk or dropping a disk from the existing disk group. This is the power with which the rebalance will occur. And rebalance is nothing but distributing the data across the disks present in the disk group. And you can check the progress of rebalance using $ASM_ operations. I'm just repeating it again, okay? So what I'll do here, alter disk group, drop disk /dev. Okay, let me get the disk name actually. So select name, disk $ASM_ disk, select name, path, label from $ASM_ disk. Okay, let me set call path for 820, call label for 820, set lines 250. Okay, so here are the disk groups. Okay, if you want to get the disk group name, you have to go for, okay, it will not give you the disk group name. You have to go for $ASM_ disk group to get that. So what I will do is like, I'll drop disk 2. So alter disk group. Disk group name is data drop disk 1. I'm dropping disk 1 from data disk group. Okay, immediately I have to go for $ASM_ operation. So the rebalance power will be 1 and estimated work is 582, and so far it done 26 units of work. So there are 582 units. Out of this, 26 units of work has been done. And the rebalance power is 1 because by default, the power limit will be 1.
Okay.
You have to, if you want to change the rebalance, we'll go for alter disk group, data, rebalance power 5. You can change that. The rebalance spelling was wrong. So this will be used to change the rebalance power. And if you want to stop the rebalance power, we'll go for 0 instead of 5. So this will stop the rebalance. So this will not drop the disk. Disk will be dropped once the rebalance is complete. Until then, it will not drop the disk. Even though you'll get back the control, it will not drop the disk until the rebalance is done, because it has to redistribute the data. Correct or not? Disk 1 లో కొంచెం data ఉంటుంది కదా, దాన్ని disk 2 లోకి పంపివ్వాలి కదా.
Yeah,
So until then, it will not drop the disk group. So now I stopped the rebalance rebalance process. So select star. Okay, looks like it's already done. Rebalance అయిపోయింది actually. Yeah. In case if you want to stop the rebalance, you can do that using this command. Okay. I guess I covered everything for the ASM.
Okay.
Next, I'll show you how to upgrade the database. I'll show you how to upgrade the version. So if you see here, okay, let me set the environment first to demo. The version is 10.2.01, okay?
Okay.
So how to interpret this number? 10, 2. 10 is a major version and 2 is a release number. So that is the reason why we always call it as 10gr2 or 11gr2. If it is 11.1, we'll call it as 11gr1. So it is 10g version and the release number is 2. After that, you'll have a platform specific number and it will always be 0. It never changed. It will always be 0 for all the versions. And after that, you will have a patch set number. Then the fourth digit is called as a patch set number. Okay. So right now it is on 1. 10.2.01. So the patch set number is 1 here. And then .0. The fifth digit is called as patch set update. So whenever you are changing the fifth digit, it is called as patch set upgrade. If you have something with the term PSU in the resume, that's what it means. PSU is patch set upgrade. Changing the fifth digit for the Oracle version is called as patch set upgrade. PSU.
Okay.
And if you are changing the fourth digit, it is called as patch set. Fifth digit is called as PSU. Fourth digit is called as PS, to be simple. Okay. Now what I'll be doing is like I'll be upgrading the version from 10.2.01 to 10.2.05. Are you getting it? I'm upgrading the version from 10.2.01 to 10.2.05. That means I'll be applying patch set because I'm changing the fourth digit here.
Okay.
So there are different types of patches which will be provided by Oracle. One is patch set. The other one is patch set update. And there will be some one-off patches. One-off patches is similar to the daily updates you'll get for the Windows security updates. Patch set is similar to the Service Pack 1, Service Pack 2 in Windows. And patch set update is nothing but it's a group of bugs. So for each and every quarter, Oracle will be releasing patch set updates such that whatever the bugs it has found out in this kind of quarter. So from Jan to March, whatever the bugs it has found out, all these bugs it will group into one patch which is called as patch set update. Patch set update is nothing but bunch of one-off patches. And this one-off patch is a patch for one bug. సో ఆర్కిల్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్లో కూడా బగ్స్ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. ఆ బగ్స్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఒక్కొక్క ప్యాచ్ రిలీజ్ చేస్తుంది. అండ్ ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ది క్వార్టర్ అన్ని ప్యాచెస్ కలిపి ఒక ప్యాచ్ సెట్ బండల్ లాగా రిలీజ్ చేస్తుంది. ప్యాచ్ సెట్ బండల్ అంటుంది దాన్ని. ప్యాచ్ సెట్ అప్డేట్ అది. ఓకే. అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద CPU ప్యాచ్ సెట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ టు చేంజ్ ద fourth digit and it will have several new features. When you apply patch set update, only bugs will be fixed, but when you're changing the fourth digit, some new features will be added on. So now I'll show you how to upgrade the database from 10.2.01 to 10.2.05. First we have to shut down the database. We cannot apply the patches or we cannot perform the upgrade whenever the database is up and running. So whatever the processes which are running from the home, you are being patched. So right now the 10.2.01 is installed in /Oracle ABP Oracle product 10.2.0 DB1. within that home, ASM is running and also database is also running. So you have to bring down both database and ASM, and then you have to perform the upgrade.
Okay.
So first I will be bringing down the database. Then I have to set the environment to ASM. Set immediate. And ASM will always be in started state, because ASM is an instance, it will be in no mount mode. No mount is nothing but started. And disk
Okay.
groups will be mounted. Like the way we have slash backup slash database in mounted mode, even the disk group will be in mounted mode. Even though ASM instance is in started, the disk group will be in mounted mode. So that means it can be used for input output operations. Okay. Now, in order to upgrade 10.201 to 10.205, first we have to download the patch. So I downloaded it, and it is available in slash backup. And that patch number is 8202632. Anything which starts with P means it's a patch. So P820263, this is the patch number, and this is what it is, 10.205, and this is for Linux. It comes in zip file, so you have to unzip the file. In order to unzip the file in Unix, we'll be using unzip space file name. And once I unzip, I got a folder called as disk1. So my files are present on a disk1. So I have to go into disk1. Here I'll be having run installer, so I need to invoke run installer. It is similar to the fresh installation again. '21. Seven point seven. $722. Okay. Just click on next. Okay. So automatically it will take the home from etc tab. So it will find out there is already existing RDBMS version, and then it will show you the path. Just click on next. And here it will be asking the Oracle support username and password. You don't need to worry about that. Just close and click on next. Click on yes. Next. Okay, it is saying that Oracle Universal Installer has detected that there are processes running in the currently selected Oracle home. So we have to check what is the process running in this home. As I already told you, we have to bring down all the processes which are running from Oracle home. Correct or not? So
Yeah.
in order to check what are the process running from Oracle home, we have to do ps-f grep /Oracle. So under Oracle, yep. One second. Switch user Oracle. ps-f grep /Oracle. Okay, I have this up and running, which is OCSSD. So here OCSSD is up and running, which is Oracle Cluster Synchronization Service. It is running from Oracle Home. So we need to stop this service. We need to stop the CSSD. So in order, just to record, /etc/init.cssd space stop. We'll be using this command to bring down the CSSD. and after that we need to upgrade the software. So if you see here, even though the version is 10.205, the patch set is called as 4. So it will always be n minus 1. So if the version is 10.205, that means you are applying patch set 4, not patch set 5. It will be n minus 1. n minus 1 ఉంటుంది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి.
Okay.
In the meanwhile, let me start another server. 10 వరకు తీసుకుంటా క్లాస్ ఈరోజు.
Okay. Yeah.
అండ్ మళ్ళీ వీకెండ్ తీసుకున్నాక వీక్ డేస్ లో తీసుకొని ఇంకా ఈ వీకెండ్ తీసుకున్నాక మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్ ఈ వీకెండ్ తీసుకుంటే మొత్తం అన్ని కంప్లీట్ అయిపోతాయి. నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్ ర్యాక్ చెప్తాను.
Okay.
సో ర్యాక్ కి స్ట్రైట్ గా 7 hours క్లాస్ కావాలి. సో వీకెండ్ చూసుకోండి, 7 hours క్లాస్ కావాలి నాకు నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్.
ఈ వీకెండ్
నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్
ఓకే. యా నెక్స్ట్ వీకెండ్ ఓకే.
సాటర్డే సండే సాటర్డే రోజు ఏదో ఒక రోజు మాత్రం 7 hours కావాలి.
ఒక్క రోజా?
యా 5 hours కావాలి అట్లీస్ట్.
ఓకే.
Okay, we have to run the root.sh again. Now it is starting the CSS automatically, so you don't need to start up the CSSD. The root.sh itself will start the CSSD. Okay, it is done. Just click on OK and click on exit. Yes. ఇంత ఈజీగా ఉండదండి, రియల్ టైంలో టైం పడుతుంది. డేటాబేస్ షట్ డౌన్ అవడానికి 10-15 minutes పడుతుంది.
ఇవన్నీ మెయింటెనెన్స్ విండోలో చేస్తారండి? మెయింటెనెన్స్ విండో ఉంటుంది కదా?
యా మెయింటెనెన్స్ విండో యూజువల్లీ ఇన్ ద వీకెండ్స్ చేస్తాం.
ఓకే.
ఓకే, ASM స్టార్ట్ చేసేసాను. ASM you'll have straight away it will say 10.205. You'll not have any issues with ASM, but with the database you'll have some issues. It will not be in 10.205. We need to upgrade the database also. The first upgradation we have done it for software. Then you have to upgrade the database also. So let me show you that.
Okay.
Okay, so what it is saying, Oracle instance terminated, disconnection forced. Okay, so we'll exit from this one. What I have to do in order to figure out this issue?
alert log లో చెక్ చేసుకోండి.
Yeah, that is the correct answer. We have to check it in alert log. And the another difference here, let me show you that. Between 10G and 11G, there will be a difference for user dump, background dump, and code dump. If you remember, I told you in the beginning of the class.
Yeah.
I'll just start up in mount because it was unable to open the database, but it can be mounted.
Okay.
Show parameter dump. So you'll have different folder for background dump. That means OS trace files and alert log will be stored into this folder bdump, and code dump files will be stored in cdump, and user dump files will be stored in udump. So there will be separate directories for background dump, code dump, and user dump. So if you are generating any trace file by yourself, like all the database backup control file to trace, it will be stored in udump folder. If you want to look at alert log, you have to go to bdump folder. And the another thing is select star from $version. This will show you the Oracle software version and everything. So as we upgraded the RDBMS software, it is showing that 10.205. So all the utilities are of 10.205 version. This doesn't mean that the database is in 10.205. This only says all the utilities are, what are the versions of each and every utility. If you want to look at the database version, select star from db_registry_history. Okay, you cannot access this view as the database in mount mode. So once I perform the upgrade, I'll show it to you. Before the upgradation, you'll not have anything. After the upgradation, you'll have some entry. I'll show the difference also. Okay. Now first let me go into the alert log location. And also in 11G, the trace files were in Oracle app Oracle followed by diag admin RDBMS. But here by default it went to Oracle home followed by admin folder. So these are another difference. Let me open the alert log. Okay, see here, database must be open with upgrade option. The reason for that is the database version is 10.2.0, but the RDBMS software version is 10.2.05. So what we have to do is, like, we have to upgrade the database. So first we have to put the database in mount mode. After that we need to invoke DBCA, DBUA. DBUA stands for Database Upgrade Assistant. Using DBUA utility, we can upgrade the database.
Okay.
There is another option. If you don't want to use a graphical user interface, you can also go for manual approach. Manual approach lo 3 scripts run chese saripothundi. I'll be using DBUA approach and I'll be clicking on next. You'll have an option to upgrade the ASM and also to upgrade the database. So first select upgrade ASM, click on next. ASM is already in the latest version, there is no need to upgrade it. So we are good with that ASM. By default it will upgrade the ASM, so you don't need to worry about that. Then you have to upgrade the database. So click on upgrade database and click on next. This will take like 30 to 40 minutes. DBA think this is a rerun operation and is trying to connect to the database with Oracle Home DB1. If you believe this is not a rerun, yes, click on OK. Click on next. If you believe this is not a rerun, remove the below file and invoke. Okay. I have to remove this file. So let me go ahead and remove this file. ఇది యాక్చువల్గా ఈ సర్వర్లో నేను ముందు ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశాను. ఈ క్లాస్ కోసం నేను మళ్ళీ అన్ని అన్ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశాను అనమాట. ఈ ఫైల్ ఉండిపోయింది.
ఓకే.
DBUA logs. Okay, I have to remove. There is nothing here. DBUA logs now. Underscore demo.txt. असली फाइल లేదు కదా. Okay, I'll do one thing. మొత్తం ఫోల్డర్ని డిలీట్ చేస్తాం. rm-rf logs. We'll see now. Next. One is using DBA, you can upgrade the database, or else set immediate. Startup upgrade. Yeah. Once you start the database in upgrade mode, in the real time, you have to check the DB registry first. Select. I'm just showing you. Select start from DB underscore history underscore registry. You know much better, so
Okay.
DB registry history. Okay, so it has no rows. After the upgrade, you'll see one row being added into this one. It will show you what patch set you applied. Next,
Okay.
in the real time, you have to check how many objects are invalid. Let count of char from DB underscore objects, where status equal to invalid. So when an object will be invalid, do you remember? Whenever the dependent object is dropped, or whenever the dependent object is, the structure of the dependent object is altered.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So better in the real time, you have to check for the invalid count objects, such that while during the upgradation, it will run several scripts. It will drop the existing packages in the schema, and it will recreate it. As a result, most of the objects will be in invalid state, such that you can compare it before the upgrade and after the upgrade. So in the real time, better you have to get the count of invalid objects. And after that, $oracle underscore home RDBMS admin cat upgrade GRD. I guess so. Yeah. Cat upgrade.sql script run చేయాల్సి వస్తుంది. So this will take care of everything. It may take around 15 to 20 minutes. So in the meanwhile,
Oh.
I had shown you how to apply the patch set. So patchet is nothing but installing another software. Like, it's similar to the installing software. Now I'll show you how to apply one-off patch.
Can repeat?
Yes, with them.
Hey, you tell me when we start ramping down?
It's going to be ramping down in a few minutes.
Okay.
Because it's, let me see. Yeah, it's almost done. I'll let you know as soon as it starts.
ఓకే అండి, ఇది నేను తర్వాత చూపిస్తానండి. ఎలాగో ఇంకోటి చూపించాలి మీకు. వన్ ఆఫ్ ప్యాచ్ అప్డేట్ తర్వాత చూపిస్తాను. యా ఓకే అండి, ఐల్ వైండ్ అప్ ద క్లాస్ అండ్ ఐల్ కంటిన్యూ ఆన్ సాటర్డే.
ఓకే సరే అండి.
సాటర్డే ఏ టైం?
సాటర్డే చూసుకోండి, మీకు ఎప్పుడు అవైలబుల్ ఉంటే మాకేం పర్లేదు, మాకు ఎప్పుడైనా పర్లేదు.
ఓకే 10 to 12. ఆశీష్ 10 to 12 ఓకేనా? యా ఓకే మరి.
ఓకే అండి.
యా ఓకే, బాయ్.